This report brought to you by the Richmond Club, where investors and high-growth companies meet.
I'm Galit Solomon for the Richmond Report. If you ask the president and CEO of North Mining what makes his company a unique investment, location would be at the top of his list. I sat down with Doug Ramsey to learn more about what makes this location so attractive and why investors should be considering this stock now. So we're going to dive straight into the important stuff. Let's begin with an overview perspective of the company. What can you tell us about it?
Okay, well, Copper North has been in existence since 2011. Our flagship property is the Carmacks Project located in Yukon, and that is the project that we're looking to take forward. It's at an almost development stage project now. It's a high-grade oxide copper-gold-silver deposit, which is really unusual for Canada. And what we've been working on over the last few years is to develop the metallurgical process that's necessary for us to recover both the copper, it's a copper project primarily, but also gold and some silver, so that we can improve the project economics and help pay for some of our copper mining and processing.
And when you began the project, were you aware of how rich that area would have been? Were you aware that you would be looking at copper and gold and potentially silver? You said as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, when Copper North took on the project, it was viewed as being a copper-only heap leach project, right, which is sort of the conventional way of recovering copper from an oxide ore. And it was completely ignoring the precious metals. And because it was in the north, and heap leaching, much as it's inexpensive in Arizona, it's expensive in Yukon, needed some better economics in order to move it forward. And we saw that realistically, by bringing in the precious metals, we should see at least a 30% improvement in our net revenue. Okay. And we just needed to figure out how to do that.
Right.
As it turned out, it didn't take a lot of figuring, because it was a very simple addition of a grinding step after crushing. Take the ore just a little bit smaller than a millimeter in size. That allows us to leach it in agitated tanks instead of leaching it on a heap. And what that does is it simplifies our material handling. We can use a multi-stage process. First stage to recover copper, second stage to recover precious metals, and we can do it very economically and efficiently. As an example, we can achieve our copper recovery in 4 hours in an agitated tank, compared with 210 days on a heap. Wow. So it has massive benefits for our cash flow, particularly through that all-important first year of startup.
Right, right.
Require a good deal less operating capital, because the copper we mine on Monday is shipped as cathode that Friday.
That's amazing. Okay, very interesting. And of course, investors always want to know who's at the helm of the company that I'm looking at potentially investing in. What can you tell us about yourself and your background?
Okay, well, first, I've been with the company for 7 years. I was hired as employee number 2. And at this point, very much the longest serving employee. I joined as the Vice President of Sustainability and Environmental Affairs. I came to the company from 35 years in environmental consulting, almost all working on mining projects. So it was on projects ranging from greenfield exploration to development stage to operations and closure. The biologists are the second people onto the site. They're the last people to leave. That's the way mines seem to work these days, anyway. Right. And so a combination of a pretty broad range of experience. I've worked in rare earths, precious metals, base metals, a little bit of uranium. So that range of experience, plus the fact that I think Goldman Sachs did a review of what the potential or the most likely sources of project delays are. 70% of project delays are for environmental reasons, whether it's permitting or environmental management.
So clearly your experience.
And
we're at
that stage where that experience is important,
Right.
because we've worked through our mining plan, we've got a resource, we've worked through the metallurgy, and the next area to be looked after is getting the project permitted and in operation.
Right, got it. Now, investors, of course, are also very curious about why now? Why should I be looking at this stock at this time? Can you provide us with a few reasons?
Well, there are a number of reasons for it. First off is there is a looming copper supply shortfall. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of timing for that. And the Carmacks project is at the smaller end of copper projects, which historically was a disadvantage, but presently is a major advantage, because the end users of copper see the supply shortage coming. They're looking to secure supply through that period. The only projects that can be built and get operating in a relatively short time are the smaller projects. In our case, if financing was in place today, we could be producing copper in 3.5 years. And the conversation with the cathode users, the companies that will do offtake agreements, has changed fundamentally in the last 2 years because of that pending shortfall.
Okay, well, 2019 as well.
That's right, 2019. And on top of that, at the moment, we're considerably undervalued in comparison to our project value.
Right.
So there's a very real upside. The other thing I'll point out, and this is something that has only become evident to us fairly recently, and that is we are blessed with being close to infrastructure in Yukon. We're road accessible now, and we're only 12 kilometers to grid power there. So we can power our project with grid power.
Right.
Yukon grid power is 94% hydropower generated. So it's primarily a renewable energy source. This could very well be the only copper project in the world where cathode copper is produced on-site using renewable energy. And with large companies increasingly being concerned about the environmental footprint of their supply chain, that makes us much more attractive to potential partners as well.
Very good. Doug Ramsey, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You're most welcome. A pleasure to be here.
For more on the company, head to www.coppernorthmining.com. And if you'd like to learn more about high-growth companies, don't forget to follow and like us. I'm Galit Solomon for the Richmond Report.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know. You've been watching the Richmond Club Report. If you've just come across this channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting and lucrative investment and trading ideas around here. We'll see you again soon on the next video. Cheers, guys. Have an amazing and profitable day.